Hey everyone, my name is Amanda and I'm the Fun Size Reader, and today I want to talk to you about Defend the Dawn by Brigid Kemmerer. Defend the Dawn was my pick for September of 2022's book club. We're having the book club discussion a little bit later because the publication for this book was actually pushed back. So thank you so much to everybody who wanted to read this with me. I hope you all enjoyed it and I can't wait to talk about it. Synopsis. Now this will have spoilers in it if you have not read the first book. So if you haven't read the first book, don't listen to this synopsis and don't read the back of the book. This book picks up right where we left off in book 1, right after the rebellion in Kandala, right after Tessa is trying to help fix negotiations between the two parties, the rebels and the royals. She's trying to develop a smaller dose serum for Moonflower so that more people can have the medicine, but they're running out. And Alexander is saying that he and his sector cannot give as much Moonflower as is needed, and so he's very against changing the dose and making basically them need to buy less from him. But all of a sudden there is a mysterious person who shows up offering more Moonflower in exchange for steel, and Corrick and Harrison need to determine if they can trust this person, and if they can't, what will potentially happen to their country. So things happen, there's journeys that are had, we find out that there's a new outlaw, like there's a lot of things that happen, all to determine what's going to happen to the kingdom of Kandala. Star rating. So I really liked this book. I really did. I liked it a lot better than the second book in her last series. I was much happier with this one, even though the whole journey thing, like you guys know, that's not my jam. You know that second book journeys are not my favorite. I want there to be plot, but I thought this one was done much, much better. So I gave this book 4 stars. I didn't love it as much as I loved the first one. Like, I loved the first one. You guys know I did. It was on my top books for 2021 and I freaking loved it. I recommend it to everybody. It was such a great YA fantasy and I really thought that this was a great sequel. Like, I really, really liked it. But again, just with the journey, like, I just want a little bit more. I just wanted a little more. And I think I wanted a little bit more romance. I'll get into that. Okay, I'll get into it. But 4 stars for me. Really, really liked it. Definitely looking forward to the next book. Spice rating. This is a 0 chili peppers. This is a YA book. There's nothing explicit that occurs in this book. There is some kissing and some like light bodily touching, but very, very little, and kind of like fade to black, kind of stopped, like nothing happens. So there's no spice when it comes to explicit content, but it's steaming up a little bit. So now for the book club discussion, you guys. This book is a little bit hard to think about in like linear terms because she follows different characters and there's different people in different places. So I'm sorry if I kind of jump all over the place. Let's start with our first new perspective. So we now meet the outlaw, and I tried to figure out in the very beginning like who this was, and I had a feeling it was going to be Harrison. Like, I just kind of knew it. I don't know why. I did suspect Quint for a little bit, but then something happened and there was reason why I was like, no, it's definitely not Quint. But I did highly suspect Harrison. And I did really like that it was him. Like, I like that he finally got the courage to like get up and out of the castle, to go meet people, to expand his knowledge about what was going on a little bit more. But it did also kind of make me sad because it made me feel like he didn't feel like he was enough compared to what Corrick was doing. You know what I mean? Like, he wanted to do good too. So it made me a little sad for him. But I really liked that it was him. I liked that we got to see a lot more of Harrison as a person. I think that he seemed a little cold in the last book. obviously, like, he's the king, he's got a lot of pressure, stuff like that, but like, we got to really know him as a person. The flashbacks about Hairston and Corrick that both of them remembered in their respective scenes, I thought was a really great element of like character development. I loved that we got to know them as kids, that we got to see this like brotherly love and brotherly affection. I do predict that those are kind of setting us up for the fact that Hairston isn't going to make it and that Corrick is going to end up being the king. That's my prediction. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but like, we've seen that like Hairston was sick as a kid, he's still sick now, and he just like is never really getting better, and Corrick has always been there to take care of him, and you see that there's this brotherly love and relationship where they just both want to take care of each other. And I think that that was such a big part of this book, because so many of the things that like were happening, they were doing and making the decisions because they wanted to care for the other person. And obviously when you have like a traumatic history like both of them do with their parents being killed, that it's, you know, hard. And I'm glad that we got that brotherly love. I do think that there was a lot of growth too about having the king in the rebellion itself. Like, he was injured in it, he's part of it, he's siding now with the rebels, with Carrie, everybody at the very end, to like say, this is what I'm fighting against. They're turning on you, they're lying to you, they're manipulating you, they're using me to do it, and we're gonna fight back now. And so like, I really like that plot line. I think it's working really, really well. I don't know if anybody else thinks this, but I thought it in the last book, and I think I said it in my video, I'm not sure, but I thought it for sure, and I do think it again now. I think that we're supposed to like Quint, and we're not supposed to suspect him in any way, but I suspect him. Who was he meeting for tea? Who was he meeting? Like, why was his door left open? What was that scene for? There has to be a reason. There has to be a reason. Like, it just felt, I thought it was going to be Hairston at first, because I thought that there was going to be like a relationship between Quint and Hairston, but I don't think it is. I don't think that's the case. I honestly wonder if Quint is kind of the mastermind behind all of the turning on the king. I know, is it treason to say that? I don't know. I think he's behind a lot of it, and I can't fully trust him. I can't fully trust him. I want to, because it's really sad to think that somebody who was so loyal to Corrick and Hairston for so long is just gonna like completely turn on them. But it's a long game, right? I don't know. I don't trust him. And I want to know who he was having tea with. Any other predictions, like, let me know, because I'm curious. I'm curious. I need to know, because I just don't feel like that scene would have been in there if there wasn't a reason. There's got to be a reason. Now let's talk about Tessa and Corrick. They're making me angry, okay? They're making me mad, because I feel like I needed more relationship development at this point. I did. I needed more. The fact that they are fighting it and Tessa is like entertaining this idea of Captain Ryan. I'm like, no, ma'am, no. I know that you don't see Weston Clark in him anymore, but like, he's still there. He obviously did those things. You were in love with him before, and that was still him. And I know he's the King's Justice. Like, you have to understand, this is my like morally gray, right? This is my favorite type of morally gray. I have to do bad things because bad things happen and I'm just trying to protect me and my brother, right? Like, bad things for good reason. But he really wants to be good. So I love Corrick as a morally gray character. But I think that not trusting him and not being happy with him and like mildly flirting with somebody else. I was so mad at Tessa. I was so mad at her. And I know it kind of resolved a little bit. It resolved a little bit. And there was the whole, you know, one bed trope, which was like a little steamy and cute, but there wasn't enough resolution for me. I wanted there to actually be like more feelings and emotions. And I think because of how the book ended, we're gonna get a little bit more like of a reunion emotion, right? Like when she realizes that he didn't die, we're gonna get that. But I wanted more angst, like more desire between them instead of just anger from Tessa. It was good, don't get me wrong, it was good, but like I wanted more relationship development and I wanted her to stop being stupid and stop looking at King Ryan. And I said King Ryan because we found out that he's the king. I didn't trust him from the beginning. I knew there was something fishy. There was gonna be some sort of reveal with him. I didn't expect him to be the king though. I don't know what, I didn't really have a prediction for him. So I think that how it ended up, it was good how it ended up. I was fine with him being the king. And obviously there's so much conflict in Austriary that I think we're gonna get a lot more conflict with him being the king and now the other guy having Prince Corrick like as captive, but he's Weston Clark again, or Weston Lark, not Clark. He's Weston Lark again. And so like there's a lot that can happen. I don't even know where it's going at this point, but I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I really hope we end up liking Lachlan a lot more than we like him now. I think he's supposed to be like a villain, but not really because he's obviously doing things for the right reasons. But I think we were dropped quite a few bombs in this book that I just need to know more information about. Who has been poisoning the entire country? Right? Like, did you guys jaw drop as much as my jaw dropped when I found out that the Moonflower stem poisons you, but the petals cure the poison? Where is the poison coming from? How is everybody getting poisoned? Who poisoned Harriston as a kid? Is he still getting poisoned? Like, there's so many elements to that I'm like, is it Alexander because he's the one that grows the Moonflower, that's the way that he stays in business and wealthy, is because he's poisoning everybody and then healing everybody so he gets people reliant on the Moonflower? Like that, I feel like that would be too easy, but also it just makes sense, you know? It just makes sense to know now that the entire kingdom is getting poisoned and then cured from the poison. Like there's somebody in charge of that. But that just kind of like blew my mind. I was not expecting that. I knew there had to be something with it because they weren't afraid of catching the disease. So I was like the people on the ship were not afraid of catching the disease. And so I was like, there's something more here. There's something going on. And I'm glad it was like this poison style, but the whole kingdom is a lot of people to poison. So like, how is this happening? I really hope we get a lot of Corrick as a good character in the next book because he was kind of an asshole in this one. Like, I know it was on purpose, but he was kind of an asshole. I want him to be Weston Lark again. We all loved Weston, and that is Corrick. Like, I think he needs to remember that that is him and that people loved him as Weston. That needs to be like what the King's Justice is like, because that is his personality. And I'm hoping we get more of that. I'm hoping we get that like rebel and like sly sneakiness, the like overconfident charming. Like I'm looking forward to that. I really hope we get that again. But we're not necessarily going to get it with any interaction with Tessa because they're separated. Go freaking figure. Separation tropes are not my favorite. They give me so much anxiety. All right, well, I really liked the book. I thought it was great. I have questions that need to be answered, and I can't believe we have to wait an entire year to find them out. You guys, it's so long. It's so long, but I hope you liked it too. I'm so glad that so many of you read along with me. I know we pushed the chat to later, so hopefully if you weren't able to join the chat today live, that you were able to leave a comment down below and still talk about this book, because I really am so happy that so many people like it. I really think more people should read this book if they haven't, because it's just such a great series, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of it. Thanks for coming to book club today and chatting with me about Defend the Dawn. If you have anything that I didn't touch on that you want to talk about, leave it in the comments down below, and we can have whole conversations there, no problem. Stay tuned next to find out what the October 2022 Fun Size Book Club pick is going to be. Don't forget, you can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at The Fun Size Reader. See you guys next time.